woke up this morning with the stomach bug that's been going around that I thought I avoided. I reached out to my client, let her know that I was sick and that I would keep her updated on how I feel, and reminded her to reach out to my backup doula. It sucks really bad. I just hope that this goes away before she goes into labor and that I'm healthy enough and non-contagious enough to go. So I've learned many a lesson in this on-call period, especially with it being like flu and illness season. So get yourself a backup doula. Like, the first thing you should do is get yourself a backup doula and familiarize your client with them. This was not the update I thought I would be giving. It sucks. I've said that 18 times I think already. It sucks. This sucks. You know when you're sick and you can't sleep and anything you watch is extremely nauseating? Yep. I discovered that makeup tutorials with the sound off is awesome. Sick life pro tip. Well, that sucked pretty bad. It's the next morning and I'm feeling way better. I'm not nauseous anymore. I'm just feeling tired. So, I'm staying home from my nanny gig one more day and I'm just gonna rest up. And yeah, I'm just gonna shower soon and lay low and thank the high heavens that I'm not still sick. Right? I hope you guys are enjoying these angles. I just got a text back from my client saying that she was totally comfortable with me providing doula support whenever she went into labor at this point on. So I just feel so much more relieved knowing that my quick stomach bug didn't get in the way of anything. Okay, so I have a slight update from my client. No progress yet, but I spoke to her today and she let me know that in 3 days, which will be 41 and 3, that her midwife is going to insert a Foley bulb as a form of like non-medicated induction. So because she's giving birth at a birth center, they don't have Cytotec or Pitocin or anything like that. So this is more of like a manual induction, so to speak. And this is the first time that I have come across it. I don't even know that I've heard it like talked about in any of the childbirth education classes or workshops or anything. So this is a really interesting learning experience, definitely for me. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research on it and insert a little bit, just like the highlights right about here for anybody else who's interested. Just a heads up, if you're squeamish or not interested in learning about the Foley bulb, I'm going to be showing an illustration of how the Foley bulb works right after this. So if you're not interested, just skip ahead to this time. This is an illustration of a Foley bulb inflated and inserted into a cervix. You can see the amniotic sac is directly above the catheter's balloon. A Foley bulb induction is a procedure where a doctor will insert a deflated catheter into the undilated or partially dilated cervix. The bulb of the catheter is then inflated with saline solution. This introduces pressure on the cervix, which will then encourage dilation. Once the cervix dilates to 3 centimeters, the bulb will naturally fall out, but it can also be removed by a healthcare professional. This can be both an inpatient and an outpatient procedure, as it can take an hour or two up to 12 hours to see results.
It may be inserted once the patient is admitted to the hospital, where they will then be monitored by a doctor, or the patient may return home after insertion until active labor begins. This is a relatively safe, effective, low-cost, and drug-free induction method for many low-risk pregnancies. Some people, however, may experience pain at insertion, vaginal bleeding, altered fetal positioning, increased risk of infection, and increased occurrence of additional interventions following it. A medical journal for obstetrics, gynecology, and women's health noted, however, that the risk of infection or additional interventions with a Foley bulb is no higher than the risk presented with other interventions, such as internal monitoring or membrane sweeping.
My client believes that she's in early labor, so I'm so excited. She texted me at 8. It's 8:25 Sunday morning, and she said that she's been up since 4 a.m. with really far apart contractions, but she just started putting them in an app at 6:30. She said that they're lasting for 30 to 45 seconds, and they are about 20 minutes apart, so I'm so excited. We've still got plenty of time, but I just reminded my client that this is a time to relax as much as possible. Try to sleep. If you can't, just relax on the couch, relax in bed, because that'll pay off big time. So I'm so excited. Mini update. Just checked in on my client, and her contractions are now 7 to 8 minutes apart, so she's progressing wonderfully, and she says that she's still handling them really well. So she's packing up the car, and she's giving a heads up to her birth center that she's going to be heading over soon, and she said that she was just getting out of the bath, so I'm really excited. Just got a text from my client at the birth center, so I'm going to head out there now. Thankfully, I got to spend some time with my cousins, and it was really convenient because they are only like 15 minutes away from the birth center that I'm going to be meeting my client at. So this is not even going to do it a little bit of justice, but there's like a gorgeous full harvest moon, and this is just like such a gorgeous night to be watching a baby be born. Holy crap. So it is 9:30 right now. I'm just heading home. It's 9:30 on the 3rd. So I met mom in the room right about 5:30. She was concentrating very hard during contractions and between, so I had a good feeling that she was very far along. One of her wishes was to labor at home as long as possible. I walked up to the room, and she was just getting some vitals by one of the midwives, and everything looked really good, and I just put some counter pressure on her back during a contraction. She actually ended up feeling pressure probably by, I want to say 6:15. Her water was intact right up until the very end, and the baby crowned and was born within a push, and she did wonderful. It was a little chaotic at first, but the baby's vitals looked great, and 2 hours postpartum continued to look great. He latched after about a half an hour really great, and did a bit of a breast crawl. They should be heading home within the next couple of hours, but before they head home, they make sure that mom can get up, use the restroom, they help her take a shower, and then they facilitate an herbal bath. I was able to give a little hand massage to my client, had some lavender oil diffusing, and we had some calming music and some LED candles. So I mean, on top of the birth center itself, it was just like such a beautiful atmosphere. So it was nice just being able to add some of the little things that I usually bring with me to like the already calm and homey environment. The entire time that I was supporting her on one side, her husband was supporting her on the other, and there were 2 midwives at her feet. It just felt like such like a empowering and comforting and supportive group and space, and that was the first time that I had witnessed or been part of that, so that was so amazing. This is exactly the type of like scenario that makes me love doing what I do. Like, this makes it like, holy crap, I can't believe that this is my job. I can't believe I get paid for this. I can't believe that I'm hired for this. Tuesday or Wednesday, today's Sunday, so Tuesday or Wednesday I'm going to reach out and check to see which day would be best for me to do my postpartum visit, where I plan on watching her little 3-year-old, getting any housework done, picking up any groceries, and just allowing her and her husband to get some rest. So that's what I will do on Wednesday. If anybody is still questioning whether they